Is your kitchen driving you just a little crazy? Is it tired, dark, and completely obsolete? Well, today on For Your Home, we're going to tackle the most challenging kitchen ever. So don't go away.
When we're making our windows and doors, and even when we're not, Pella is helping to protect our environment in communities across the country through forest stewardship, pollution prevention, waste management, and other green initiatives. Not only because it's good for business, but because it's the right thing to do. And frankly, it's just part of the way we've always done things. Because at Pella, we believe we're not just making windows and doors for houses, we're making them for the people who live inside. Pella, viewed to be the best.
Now, last season we transformed a 1992 kitchen from this into this, and it inspired hundreds of viewers to email us begging us to make over their kitchens. Well, you know, it wasn't an easy decision, but folks, this is the winner. I thought that this would be a tremendous kitchen for us to work on because, first of all, it's in a house that was built in 1939, and of course this is not the original kitchen. This was put in later, and boy, did this homeowner love wood at that time. It's everywhere from floor to ceiling, so it really closes in all the space. They have an island here in the middle of their kitchen, and that's a pretty modern thing, but they've got this old gas range, which is really not a place where you want to have a lot of people entertaining and eating around during mealtime. You know, we also have some issues with a microwave, obviously, that died and has been replaced, and it doesn't fit into the hole. There's a lot of things that we would like to see changed in this kitchen. Now, this is home to Jody and Fletcher and their two children. Now, Jody, she works in finance, and Fletcher, well, he's a stay-at-home dad. Both of them have their issues about this kitchen. Take a look.
5 years ago, I decided to stay home with my children, Jenny and Marshall, and so I spend most of my time in the kitchen, much more so than Jody. And I love my wife, Jody, but in the mornings when she's fixing lunch for the kids and I'm fixing breakfast for them, it's awfully tight. Another thing is this range, it's a wonderful gas range, but I tell you, it's a little bit dangerous. When Jenny was 2 years old, I was leaning over the range to prepare some food for them on the plates, and my shirt caught on fire. So Jenny was traumatized from that age on. Also, with the age of the kitchen, it's about 18 years old. A lot of the drawers have become sticky, and it's very difficult to pull them out. The trash can is almost like a struggle to try and throw anything away. In the new kitchen, I like to have an island without the range top in the middle of it. It'd be nice to have a lot more space in order to prepare food. And also, it'd be nice to have doors in the cabinets and the drawers that would open nicely.
Jody agrees with Fletcher about the functionality or the lack of functionality about this kitchen, but for her, it's really more about the aesthetics.
When we bought the house, we really liked the layout and style of every room but the kitchen. We have a more traditional taste, and we have a lot of antiques throughout the house, and the kitchen just seems to be kind of an out-of-place eyesore. It's very modern, and with a lack of natural light, because we only have a small skylight, we don't have any type of window that faces the outside, everything seems to be closed in and dark because the cabinets are dark and the floor is dark, and it's really not a fit for us. So we're excited to change it into something we're really going to be proud of. Another thing is that when friends come over and we're entertaining, it's always the same thing. We hear, wow, this is interesting or unique. And that's really not the type of thing we want to hear about, you know, a room in our house. We want a new kitchen so that we can receive some genuine compliments like, wow, what a beautiful kitchen.
Sometimes I feel more like a marriage counselor than I do a designer when it comes to trying to get everybody's wishes into a dream kitchen. But first on the job is always our general contractor. Now, this is Karen Mancuso from Ion Design. If you watch the show a lot, then you recognize Karen as our GC on the last kitchen we did last season. And you're back again.
I am back.
What are you thinking? More punishment, huh?
Well, I don't know.
Well, this one's going to be a lot of fun. And don't you think this is going to be a great challenge?
This is going to be really a challenge, Vicki. I see a lot of things here that are challenging.
Well, the first thing that I worry about is the house was built in 1939.
Okay, well, there you go right there. Anything prior to usually 78, you have some pretty definite possibilities of asbestos and lead. And if you look at the floor right now, you can see that it's several layers high, which tells me more than likely we have at least a layer of asbestos tiles.
So instead of taking it up, they just kept layering it on top.
They just kept layering it on top. We truly need to get someone out here to test for both lead and asbestos right from the get-go.
All right, because it's original woodworking and all, we just got to get that test done first.
Correct.
Next thing is I want to see if we can't take out this wall.
Right.
There's a laundry space back there in a hallway, and it's pretty useless. It doesn't function well. If we can get this wall down, we could really open up this kitchen and give Jody the kitchen of her dreams and give Fletcher the room that he wants to move around in here.
Well, there again, this is one of those challenges, and the most important thing about this, anytime that you're opening up any space, especially with this kind of span, we need to consider what is the load above it. How do we continue to carry that load properly? And the first thing I would do is call in a structural engineer to make sure that we're doing that properly.
Okay, well, we'll get that question solved before we can even start to design.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because if we can't take the wall out, we'll have to make a lot of changes in our
true.
ideas. Okay, well, you get a hold of the engineer, we'll get him out here, I'll get a hold of the lead people, and we'll get this kitchen a rocking and rolling.
Fantastic, I'm ready.
If your home was built prior to 1978, you have to have it tested to make sure there aren't lead or asbestos materials in the work area. This home was built in 1939. We knew that the possibilities were pretty high, and to make sure, I contacted Lars Amath from EI to do our testing. Hey Lars, it looks like you're already busy at work.
Yes, ma'am, Vicki. I'm testing for lead-based paint.
Well, you know, it's really important for us to find out exactly what's in this kitchen because, you know, we're going to have a lot of workers in here. And what is the procedure? What do we go through here?
Well, considering this is a 1939 house, anytime pre-78, we're going to have to test for lead-based paint. As well with asbestos, there's really no cutoff date for that, Vicki, but we're definitely going to test. And you can see the transition in here, how it's raised up, meaning there's probably several layers of flooring.
Flooring on here?
Anytime there's several layers, we're probably going to run into older and older days. The older it is, the higher it's going to get. And we went ahead and took a test for asbestos from the flooring. And this is not
so you just cut a little notch out of the floor?
Yes, ma'am. You're going to cut out a small representative sample, but you got to make sure that you get through each layer, okay? We're going to send this off to the lab in order to find out if it is in fact asbestos. And they'll analyze it by each layer, and then within a couple days or a day, they'll let us know what our results are.
Okay, so let's assume that the worst, that we do find out we have asbestos in one of the 3 layers on this floor. What are our options at that point?
Well, one of the options would be to leave it alone and just cover it up like they've done before, as you can see with the transition. The other option would be to go ahead and have an abatement done by a professional certified abatement contractor.
Okay, so that means they'd just tear it all out, all the way back down to the original subfloor?
Yes, ma'am. They would do it safely and correctly so that the fibers don't get airborne and that there's no danger to anybody around.
Okay, now I'm going to say that I want to, if we have asbestos in here, either way, this has got to go out because I don't like the transition, because once we put a hardwood floor in here, it's going to be even higher. And that's just a tripper to go fall over all the time. Plus, they have children in here. Let's just get rid of it.
Yeah,
right?
That would be a good idea.
Okay, what about, I saw you testing for our woodwork.
Yes, ma'am. I have my XRF here, and this is actually an instantaneous field tester, so it'll tell me on the site whether we have it or not.
Oh, great.
And our trim work is actually coming back hot. On our trim here, our baseboards, our crown molding. However, I did test the wall, and
what
we're
have we
good.
found there?
We're good right here. There's no lead in our wall paint.
So really it's the trim paint that they used is really more the problem.
The majority of the times you do find it is going to be trim work, windows, doors, and stuff like that. You can find it on the walls, it's just not as much.
All right, now on the trim, part of the charm of this house is it is an old house and we want to keep the original woodwork, but we're going to have to sand this down. So does the abatement company, will they come in and prepare it ready to paint?
The abatement company can do that. When they come in here and do the asbestos floors as well, they can come in here and take care of your trim and keep the charm of the house and give it back to you ready to paint.
And any of the trim that we're going to tear out, they'll do the tearing out of that and haul it off with everything else?
Yes, ma'am, to do it safely.
Okay. Well, I think this is a great thing for us to know. because there's so many people that are buying and renovating older homes that these new rules are very important. And the most important part is look for that certification.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What kind of certification should I be looking for?
It depends on the state and the area. The local governments can have different regulations, but it needs to be an EPA certification, and since we are in North Carolina, it's going to be a Health Hazards Control Unit certification for our guys.
Okay, so that's what you want to look for, and you want to look for, do most of them show you the lab report when it comes back so you really know if you got problems?
Yes, you should show to the client or the homeowner. They should know what's in their own house. So once they do the testing, look for the results within a couple of days, and also a report, a written formal report after that.
Okay, well, I am just really glad that we were able to share this information with you in case you've got a project going at your house. I look forward to getting that report from you. I'll let you finish up your job.
Okay, Vicki.
Thanks, Lars. Removing walls is always a wonderful idea so you can open up your spaces. I would love to get rid of this wall so I can incorporate all of the space back here in the laundry room into the kitchen. But when you start taking walls down, that's not something that you want to do on your own. You always want to get the advice of a structural engineer. Marcel Papineau is our structural engineer. He's with Intelligent Design Engineering. And tell me, Marcel, you've looked at everything. Is the news good or bad?
I did look at it. We have good and bad news.
Okay.
The bad news is that it is a load-bearing wall.
That's not good. I don't like to hear
No.
that.
The good news is we can make it happen.
That I like to hear.
Exactly.
Now we're talking.
Great. We can, we can remove this wall and instead install a beam to support the loads that are being applied above.
Okay, so by just putting a beam across, is that going to be a steel beam or a laminated beam?
Well, in this case, we're dealing with a shorter span. It's only 10 feet, so we can get a laminated beam to work.
Okay, perfect. Now, are we going to have any more issues that we need to do by taking this wall out other than putting in the beam?
Well, yes, that's the one common mistake I see when we have, other people doing that at home or contractors where they're ignoring where that load is getting transferred. The house is a system. So if you remove this wall, it was designed to be spread across the foundation, and now you're concentrating on 2 individual points. And you've got to take care of that. So we have to go ahead and put piers and footings to make sure that that doesn't move.
Okay, so that'll be underneath the house.
That's
that work
right.
will have to be done. And the beam over the top of it. It seems like it's a pretty elaborate kind of system, but I think what we'll get in exchange for that will be fantastic.
Right. I mean, you can open this up. It's going to allow you to get, a lot more room. And for the price of a beam and some foundations or some footings, wouldn't be a great deal.
Well, I think that it's always something that homeowners really need to stop and think about. And if you're planning on taking a wall out at your house, invest the few $100s that it takes to bring in a professional like Marcel to really give you a report, because you're licensed and you guarantee your work for it so that people know that you're doing the right thing.
Right. It's always better to do things right the first time. And in our case, we're licensed. We're liable for that beam size for 7 years. And, we give that people peace of mind that there won't be any issues now or in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Marcel. I know you got to get up in the attic. You want to do some final stuff. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, that's good news for me, because I tell you, one of the worst areas I think in this makeover is right here in the laundry room. This has bifold doors that close it off so you can hide it all between. The problem is the bifold doors don't work anymore, so they stand open all of the time. That's not a good look. Plus, you've got your old-fashioned washer and dryer here. The cabinets and the shelving just don't work very well at all. And over in this space here, we have a sink, but generally, as you can tell, it's not even being used. Underneath, there's some huge issues here with leaks that have gone on in the past. So everything in here needs to be torn out. So we'll revamp this whole area, and I think we can make a beautiful, large kitchen by incorporating this space. Jody and Fletcher are hoping we can turn this old kitchen into a warm, welcoming space that functions well for their growing family. Designing a new kitchen can be lots of fun, and as a homeowner, you really need to put your plans into action. But when it comes time to do those final designs, be sure you consult a kitchen professional. A kitchen has to be beautiful, but it has to function well. Our kitchen designer is Ann Van Dyke. She's with Cabinets by Designs. She has been chatting with Fletcher and Jody and with myself to get all of our input. I can't wait to see what she's come up with. Hi, Ann.
Oh, hey, Vicki. How are you today?
Doing great, sweetie. It's good to see you again.
Oh, nice to see you as well.
I am so excited. What have you come up with for our dream kitchen?
Well, I was so excited to know that the structural engineer said that we could move that wall.
Yes, he did.
That's going to make a huge difference in terms of the space that they're going to
Just
gain.
open it up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've done some really cool things, I think. The sink's basically staying where it is. But we did move the refrigerator from this focal point that it was in to over on a wall that it will be less obtrusive into the space. So, you know, one thing we're doing is we're doing a couple of different door styles, but we're doing some different features in the kitchen that kind of pull it all together. As in on the island, we're doing a beadboard detail.
I love that.
We're also repeating it behind the hutch and doing a beadboard panel back there. And then when we get to the laundry area, the doors of the laundry area will actually be the beadboard.
I like that.
Good.
Really do like it. I can see that openness. Now this is looking back from the laundry area.
Exactly. Looking back from the laundry area, you can see how much larger the kitchen looks just by virtue of taking this whole wall out. That's going to make a huge impression.
Yeah, when I saw it, I said, you know, that back space is really useless. Let's see what we can do.
Absolutely.
And I see we've got lots of seating like they requested around the island. And can we do seating here too?
We absolutely can.
Okay.
No problem.
I love that.
And then do a hood detail above the range. It's going to make for a really nice impression. A beautiful space.
Oh, I just think this is going to be wonderful.
Great.
I know they're going to love this layout. Shouldn't be many changes.
Great, thanks.
Okay, big question. Now, this was the brochure that I shared with Jody.
Yep.
And she absolutely loved the look of that kitchen. What brand of cabinets have you selected for this?
For Jody and Fletcher, I felt like the Plain and Fancy line would be just the perfect thing for them. Because Plain and Fancy is a 42-year-old company. They are 100% customizable. They do beautiful finishes, great accessories, just lots of ways to customize this kitchen.
That'll really match with their 1939 house.
Absolutely, to fit their specific lifestyle.
All right, so now these are a shaker style doors.
They are.
Is this what you've selected?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a door that a lot of my customers are actually preferring now. It's a wide style and rail door with a flat center panel.
Okay.
It's just a little
But
more.
it has a little more detail to it.
It does. And it's sort of a updated shaker, I guess, if you want to say that.
I love that. The hardware is just perfect. It keeps right with the age of it.
Yep.
And now we want a little bit of color in it. Is this the color that we're going to be using, and where are we adding that?
Yeah, absolutely. This color is so new, we don't have a sample yet.
Yeah, this is a pretty little chip,
It is,
but I love it.
but this is actually the color that we're going to use on the island. So it's going to really just add a nice pop. And I just love a beautiful painted cabinet on a hardwood floor. I think both of these are going to look awesome on the floor.
Well, my job will be to sell them on the plans.
Hope you can.
And I know they're going to love the white cabinets because that's what she wanted.
Right.
They're going to love the color, and I should get back with you in just a couple of days.
Great, I'll look forward to it.
Thanks,
Vicki.
Ann. With positive test results that we had both lead paint and asbestos in the kitchen, we're required by law to use a licensed remediation company to take all those toxic materials out of here. Jonathan Irving is with Environmental Holdings Group, and he's heading up the project here in Jody and Fletcher's kitchen. Hey, Jonathan, how's it going?
Very well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I love what you guys are doing because it looks so professional. It makes me feel safe right from the start.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so what we had to take out of there, some trim we had that was positive for lead paint, right? And our flooring, we had asbestos and the mastic and the tiles that were used there.
The linoleum, that's right.
All right.
There's 3 layers of linoleum we had to remove.
Well, this seems like a pretty elaborate setup. Kind of walk me through what we're doing here.
Okay, this is our containment area. What we've tried to do is completely isolate where we're working from the adjacent space, the occupied space in the home.
Okay.
So our containment is under negative pressure, so air is being pulled into the containment, filtered through a HEPA filter, and exhausted outside. That's what these tubes are, exhausting all of the air from in the containment that's been cleaned by the HEPA filters outside of the home.
Okay, so just getting it completely out of here.
That's right.
And so by sealing off all the openings to it, we don't have to worry about any of the dust getting out and landing in the furniture and all.
Exactly.
Now, when a homeowner is going through this experience, is it best that they just leave the house, or is it safe for them to stay at the house?
It's really up to them. At this point, they could be in the home. We've created, like I said, we've tried to isolate any contaminants that are in there that we're creating in that space. So it's safe out here.
Okay.
But that's really their choice.
All right, well, we found out that we had a little surprise for ourselves, didn't we? I got a phone call from you yesterday going, we got some tile we didn't know was there. Tell me what happened.
Well, when we first started the project, the homeowner had to identify the materials that are going to be disturbed. They tested them for asbestos. An inspector came in, took a sample of the flooring. There's actually 3 layers of linoleum, and stopped at the wooden substrate.
Right.
What we did as our removal is we removed the wooden substrate as a component so that we wouldn't disturb as much of the linoleum as possible.
Okay.
Underneath that underlayment, we found another layer of floor tile, the original layer, had that tested for asbestos, and it was found to be negative.
Okay, because we were really worried yesterday because had that have proved positive, it is glued down to the old subfloor.
To the wooden subfloor, that's right.
And you said that mastic can't come off it.
That's right. Sometimes the mastic comes back as asbestos containing. It leaches into the wood, so we'd actually have to remove the entire wooden floor.
So we'd be standing there looking straight through to the basement, right?
Right to the crawl space, right to the dirt.
Oh, well, you know, I'm really glad the results came back negative because that's not going to increase the cost of remediation
Exactly.
and it's not going to mess with our budget.
Exactly.
So we're going to have some really happy homeowners when I get a hold
I
of
hope
Fletcher
so.
and then let him know.
I hope so.
Well, thank you. I'm going to let you guys finish up because I know you're going to wrap it all up today. Before we run, though, did you test the air when you're all done?
We're going to. We haven't yet. We're doing our fine cleaning now, so we have to remove all visible dust from inside the containment. A third-party consultant comes in, tests the air for reoccupancy. If we pass the test, we can tear down the containment, and you can reoccupy the area.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your helping us with the project.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, this is what it looks like in our kitchen. It's a pretty big mess, isn't it? But you know, you always got to go backwards before you can go forwards. Now, everything is coming along pretty good. This is the tile that had to remain. No problems with it. There's no asbestos in this tile. We do have some leveling issues in this area because tile is in some locations and not in others. But our flooring guy will handle all of that when we get to that stage. Now, this is the vent from the downdraft of our gas range that was in the island that was located here. Now, Dan, who is our HVAC guy, he's going to come in and relocate this because in our new range, we need an updraft. But before he can do that, we've got some walls to take down. This is Bill. You guys all know Bill. He's our FYH carpenter.
Hey, Vicki.
Bill, it looks like you are in carpenter heaven here, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's always fun to tear some stuff out, get to work out a lot of aggression that way.
I know. It's always the fun part, you know, when walls come down. Did you run into any kind of problems that we didn't foresee up to this point?
Not really. We had talked to Marcel, the engineer, and we knew this was a load-bearing wall. So what we're having to do is take this wall out and replace it with a couple of beams that will carry that weight.
Okay, and Marcel's the one who determines how big a beam, what size, everything that needs to go because he's a structural engineer.
Exactly. He comes out and does load rates to figure out exactly how much weight this wall's carrying and then specs everything out based on those.
Okay, now let me ask you why. If we're taking out a wall, did you build a wall?
We have to do something to support this upper load while we're taking this wall out. So what we'll do is come in, we build a temporary wall here, and we'll build one on that other side as well. That carries all the ceiling joist and the weight of the upstairs while we're taking out this wall and putting our LVLs in, just to keep it from sagging or any problems occurring with it.
All right, so once the beam goes in there, then you can take all of these out.
Exactly, then we can take these out.
Okay, what about this pipe right here?
The plumber's going to come by shortly and cut this out. This is an old vent pipe that was existing in the wall from where the kitchen sink was. No big deal. We can just shift it out of the way until he gets here and put our stuff in the way.
Yeah, and you don't want to ever try to just pull that out because it's connected to your roofing system. And if Bill were to give this a good yank and try to pull it out, that would leave a hole in our roof, and then we would have a leak, and then we would have more problems.
Exactly.
That's the reason you're the pro, Bill. See, I would have just grabbed that and just yanked it out of there. Okay, well, I am going to just stand back and let you and Joe do your jobs.
Sounds
okay?
good.
All right. Well, Bill didn't find any issues when they started working on that part of the kitchen, but that all changed when we got to the old laundry room. This is Ian, and he's the electrician on this project. And Ian, you said that the news about this power box is not good.
No,
What's going
it
on?
isn't. Well, Vicki, what we're looking at here is we originally planned on moving this power box out here to stay out of the way of the cabinets.
Coming out there.
That's correct. Well, once we got into this wall, we found out this wall is just much too shallow to house this box.
Okay, so how much room would you need normally to move a power box?
We need about 3.5 inches for the power box.
And here we had what?
2.
2, yeah.
So much too shallow to put everything in there.
Okay.
And we don't want to put anything over the power box that would look gaudy.
Yeah.
So in this case, we're going to have to drop it down into the basement and rewire everything down there.
Okay, so I'm used to, when I hear move power boxes, I also hear we're moving our expense up to another notch, correct?
That is correct.
Right.
Anytime you deal with extending wires, extending the power wires, it's always going to get more expensive.
Okay, is there any good side to this and upside?
There is. We actually get to get this out of the first floor and down where it belongs and into the basement.
Okay.
Servicing everything from down there is much easier. There's much more room, and it doesn't look nasty on your wall in your house.
Well, as a designer, I like that. I like the fact that, you know, we're going to get it out of our way. We don't have to come up with some funky way to cover it up, and so that'll be great. Now, you also left me a voicemail that said, Vic, we got a lighting issue out here. You're just full of good news today.
Yeah, I
Ian.
know. That seems to be the case always.
Okay, so what's the problem out here?
Out here, basically what we're looking at is this whole wall was getting opened up, and you have some pendants over the snack bar. So what you don't want to see is you don't want to see flush mount fixtures.
Like we have now.
Like you have now. So in order to...
Well, what about cans? Why can't we do cans out here?
The cans won't work because the ceiling is just much too shallow, kind of like this wall.
Okay.
We
so
don't
was
have
this
any
like
room.
maybe a porch or something at one time out here?
It certainly was. This was an addition to a porch. We have a flat roof up top, and it's just 2x4s up top. So we certainly don't have enough room to do any type of recess lighting.
All right.
Our suggestion was to do some wall sconces. It can certainly add the light that you're looking for the room. You want to keep it the lighting effective so you can see what you're doing in here.
Okay.
And we do one over here and one over here.
Okay, they're not going to balance, but I think if I pick out the same type of fixtures, if they're a pair, it doesn't really matter. Because this is coming out, that whole header area. I know Bill didn't know that this was coming out because we changed the designs of the cabinets, but that'll let sunlight come on back in here. Over here we have a desk area that's going to go into the final design. Can we get some under-counter lighting in that space?
We certainly can, and it'll make a great working area for folding laundry or any type of other task.
Okay, great. Well, I think the sconces are a good idea. I'll get busy trying to find something that'll coordinate with the pendants we're going to use. We'll get the power box for once and for all out of our way, and we've turned what was a problem into a really sweet asset for this area.
I agree.
All right, thanks, Ian. I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, Vicki.
To the untrained eye, it may look like quite a mess here, but never fear. The FYH team has got it all under control. If you join us next time, you're going to see how beautiful this kitchen project turns out. Make it a date to join me right here on For Your Home.